thank you for having me. It's a great honor to represent Groningen as a city architect. For all of you who need to focus a bit of where Groningen really is and what it is, I put it on the map, and together with the other impulse cities of today. So it's a big honor it's a bit also a humble honor to represent the city next to London and Hamburg and Brussels. I put it also on a scale, and you saw it in the diagram of Mr. Overmaier, that also the amount of people who work in the creative business is related to the scale of the city in a way. But Groningen it's a compact city, and we have a policy of creative hotspots, like we call it broedplaatsen in Dutch. It's also what Mr. Overmaier said, is broedstekken. I noted it. So what I'm going to say, I'm going to talk 15 minutes about the unplanned movement to the planned strategy, city strategy. So I'm going to show some examples. Also a bit of a timeline. So in 1979, this hospital was left, and it was staggered, or how do you say, squatted, besetzt by a group of people who took it, and it's legalized. So make a long story short, it's accepted. It was first with a lot of tension, but it's still there. So this was the biggest building in the Netherlands that was squatted in that time, and it's in dialogue. It's been confirmed, and it's still hotspot number one, the oldest of culture and exchange. So it's about the power of exchange, and if you accept it and you value it, it's important for your city dynamics and the city life and the city creativity. I put down the ownership in some slides because I think I want to say some things about ownership, because in the strategy of Groningen it's an important component. Who is the owner? And owners, if the owners accept or refuse, it is a key, let's say, mentality to go along with creative hotspots. So what Groningen did in the past with that building is they partnered up with a social housing company, the biggest social housing company in our city. So they became the owner of this hospital. That same is still going on. So from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and still we work like that. So this is another hotspot. It's really in development. It's our old sugar producing factory. And now it's bought by the city when the factory left. So it's also about ownership. So the city has a real estate department, and with ownership there is control and management. So it's so from the unplanned strategy from that hospital to the planned strategies for urban developments. This is the ehemalige Suikerfabriek, and there will be 5,000 houses. There will be lots of square meters for businesses, and also real estate in retail and education. So you see that the plan for a factory like in Hamburg is going to be rebuilt by the city as the owner and the manager of the project. 2010, I met Mr. Overmaier. He doesn't know, I still remember, because I was in the audience and you were already on the stage of this site. It is the former gas and electrical plant. This was the building where we met. It became a theater building. It was one of the leftovers of that monuments you saw, which was for the gas factory. And now a big creative hotspot is created there with the national, one of the 8 most important theaters, gesellschafts in the Netherlands. But what is important is that together with this building, it's an abandoned laboratory for our university. We have one university in Groningen. And these 2 buildings, they were like 2 poles in one urban development. And I'm going to say this because this is all, let's say, inhabited now by artists who live there, but also work there. So they have their house, like in the examples of the previous presentation. They live, work in In this building, the former lab, it's also for leisure and hospitality and horeca, is how we call it. So restaurants and bars are in. But what is important, you see the two blue arrows. This was the factory for that gas plant, and this is our city center. So here's our grote markt, how we call it, the central market. So it's a 10-minute walk. This was the periphery in the past. Now it's center. So this transformation of this compact city means that we transform these former industrial sites that are really close to the center to city center environments. And what you see here is the two blue arrows again. So you see that it was really industrial. Here is that university building, and here is that current theater building. And what happened is that it was 2009. So we made one big plan as a city, and we made a parking garage completely from the beginning to the end. And then the bank crisis came, 2008. So this place was like a big problem. And what happened is that this temporary use became a necessity instead of opportunity. So this necessity, from the example from the 79, the hospital, became policy in Groningen. So the creative class, like from the book of Richard Florida, and also the war on talent, like we say it, is generated by that crisis. So you could say it's an upside from rethinking our business. And I put this as an example, the Paleis, because it was also asked, how did the city Groningen act in this particular case? So what you see is that here are some notes in German. You can read it. I will take out a few, because for today, I got back in history, and what you see is the governance that is still current in our city management, how we can work and finance and stimulate these places. So what happened is that the city bought the building of the university, and then the partnership with the social housing company became very important. And their core business is to rent social houses. So by state law, it's, let's say, a bit of a side project. So they made a new Stiftung. It's COB10, and that Stiftung is the main renter of the social housing company. That is accepted. And there is in the administration nothing wrong with that. It's also not illegal, but it's clear. And that clear administration, that makes it that the management is in the Stiftung. So, and then all these small users, like Alice and the rest, they are tenants and renters, meters, from the Stiftung. And so the social housing company and the city, they don't have to do all the fragmented administration that it will be, let's say, like a car jam. It blocks. So from top to the bottom, there is even a corridor manager, because they found out that rentals like these, meters like this, they only need a room on a corridor. So even the corridor is rented out there in the particular building. So they call it gangsters, because in Dutch, a corridor is a gang. And so that's, of course, very funny. And so from that, they manage everything to the big scale, to the small scale. So there's a hierarchy in scale related to the use and the needs. So to get back to the other one, the machinefabriek, where the theater is in, the other pole, this is all property of the city still, and they created, they gathered all the theater companies and the theater gesellschafts from big to small on one place. So we call this the Kunstwerf. So it went from machinefabriek to Kunstwerf. And what happened is that with the competition for young architects, this is brand new. It's recently delivered, and so we create from temporary, permanent use. I'm gonna be a bit quicker now. So what you see is that from these examples, from permanent non-planned to, temporary non-planned to permanent planned, I'm gonna take you to what our city board put in policy. So we have this map related to, I think, the visit of Mr. Overmaier in 2010 to So I can say this is the power of exchange that we do today as well. It takes some time, but it has value. And what I want to show you is that the planned project by the city is maybe not a creative hotspot from the art and let's say the creative business, but what the city did is they collected all their public functions, social functions like a library, the art house for movies, how do you say that? The conference room, all the programs that the city had spread it through the town. They collected it to create from this, like a parking garage. You see here our church, the Martini Church, and we'll go back to the image. This here. Here is our plaza, Grote Markt. And you see that from this place we created this. And a lot happened, and I want to show you, because there's no time to explain all that, but because we're so proud of it, we create books to share it and to communicate it. But what I want to say is that, let's say the public space was already mentioned, is very important. So in our city, we are in a movement from the 70s to create places for cars to places for people. According to Jan Gehl's theory, of course, from Copenhagen. So you see that our markets are transformed to places for people. Even our Grote Markt, the center, this is just delivered June 1st. So this book is about 20-year development. And you see that this forum building also created a movement that from this car dominated place in the center, we created a new plaza for pedestrians, which this forum is the generator of all that development. And this forum is a 100% public building, 100% owned by the city and programmed and managed by the city. So it's for free, and NL Architects made the design. So a quick run through that. So we had some markets, and you see that behind the center square, this was this black spot with all problems cities have in those black spots. But they created a new culture square from city planning, and NL Architects created that forum with all plazas in the buildings. It's the yellow part. So this is all public, and you see here the functions that are also public. And what they did is they mingled that, so it's a mix of functions through the building. It's public, people go there, kids go there. It's a visitors building where 2.5 million people on year basis are coming without buying any tickets apart from the movies and the museum for comics. But you also see that this square typology really became literally a place on the roof where we have public moments, public use, public events, and well, these are the last images. So it's just to show you the way city programs, so not only art and cultural functions of people that are let's say, doing it standalone or for their business. Now, also cities have a social and cultural functions, and if you combine those, you are, as a city, very powerful if you're still the owner and you can manage it to create the quality by your standards, to work in partnership with people from the business and the market. Thank you very much.